Hey, everybody, this is Dennis Brown, former San Francisco 49er and Super Bowl champ. I'm here on the 49er Weekly Show, The Grueling Truth, with Dexter and Matt.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the 49er Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network, brought to you by MyBookie.ag. I'm your host, Matt Andruscavage. I'd like to welcome in my co-host for the 49er Weekly Show, former 49ers running back and Super Bowl 29 champion, Dexter Carter.
Hey, and it's a pleasure to be here as always, Matt. Looking forward to having a good time for about 45 minutes here with you.
Same here. It's one of those things that I look forward to every week, get to talk 49er football. Regardless of the result, it's still a good time.
It is a good time because, one, we're always forward-thinking. We're always thinking about the positives in all situations. And what we do know is there's brighter days on the horizon for the 49ers. And, you know, right now it's pretty grim, pretty bleak. Can't really see through the fog right now on what can be if you're fans, or at least some of the fans. But what we have to do is be able to do that. Talk about the current, be real about it, state where we're at, and say where we think we're going to be based on our current situation. And based on that, there's a lot of good positive things, from the process of the draft and who the 49ers may get. The money that's available, the free agents, the possibility of how different the team is going to look next year than now. And again, we had a lot of talk last week about, the new addition to the 49ers, which still is a positive thing. It may not help us right now, but Garoppolo, will help us in the future. So, it's a lot of, good, bad, neutral things that we're going to talk about, but those are things that need to be talked about in the current state of the 49ers.
Yeah, you really said it. I mean, it is really how it is right now. It's like this fog. You didn't really see this coming. I mean, I think a lot of fans realized this was going to be a challenging season, that there probably weren't going to be a lot of wins, a lot of W's in the win column. And, unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out even that well. It's been a very frustrating season because they've been close. You can see how they were very competitive in most of the games. It's been a lot tougher lately just because of probably more so the injuries than anything else. And they played Philadelphia and Dallas, who are really, really good teams. But you got to be real about things the way they are right now, but there are good things on the horizon. So, I guess let's get right to it then. How do we be real about the things the way they are right now? I mean, you look on paper, there's still some guys out there like Reuben Foster. You want to see him develop. They still got Carlos Hyde, but it just doesn't seem like there's anybody's really able to get anything going, especially offensively right now.
Yeah, and when things are, as bad as they are, for example, you take the offense for the Arizona Cardinals, and as we talked about, that Peterson was going to be, heavily leaned upon, and he was. He came out and he established and he really pounded that ball. Now, offensively, even though we had injuries and have additional injuries since last week, you still want to be able to rely heavily on your running game, even though your offensive lineman, isn't in great shape right now. But we wish what Arizona is able to do with Peterson that the 49ers could do with Hyde. Got to be able to pound the ball, drive the ball down the field, keep drives going, but that's not able to happen. And a lot of it is because of those injuries. You asked me a question off the air, and you said, as a coach, having coached, currently coaching high school and having coached, at Florida State, and just understanding the coaching philosophy and business of it. When you're losing like that, what do you say to these players? And I said, in reality, I'm not in the meeting room empathizing with us and, we've got guys injured, because anybody who makes a 53-man roster, whether a team has injuries or not, the preparation doesn't change. You still preparing to win. You still are one of the top football players in the world. So you've got to go out there and execute. You've got to prepare, like a winner, and you've got to play ball. Players take things personal. I have to win my individual battle. And that's what they're telling these guys. You got to win your individual battle. If we do that good enough, then the team concept comes to fruition. And that's what they're talking to these guys about in the meeting rooms, individual groups, running backs, receivers, and as they come together as a team. So, yes, we're looking forward saying, this is a great process, and just trust in the process. And we've got our quarterback of the future, we believe. And, we've got some injuries, and that's really, hurting our team. Yes, I get that. But at the end of the day, these players still have to go out there and compete to a high level. And I'm holding them to a higher standard. I still believe the future is bright. But, nobody wants to go 0-16. And the 49ers got to find a way through all these injuries, through the inept play, at the quarterback position, the injuries at a lot of positions. We're leading the NFL with guys placed on injured reserve. All of that is huge. But somehow we've got to find some pride in these young guys, in these guys that don't have a whole lot of experience. We're not what we started out with this season, but they have got to find out, as players and the coaches have got to find a way to motivate, inspire, put these guys in a position, to succeed. You may not be able to do what's in that whole playbook, but you got to do what is towards the strengths of these players. And again, it comes back to me as an offense. Carlos Hyde has got to find the way, blocking or no blocking, how he can bull his way in there and really just try to take over games. I can't explain to him how to do it. He's got to figure it out, because this team's got to be better than what it is. We're not saying you're going to be the 28th best team in the league, because right now they're the 32nd best team. But they got to find a way to be better than the team that they're going up against. And this week, it's the Giants, who are in not much better shape than the 49ers. But you got to find a way how you can be better than this Giants team this week. And it's got to happen so these guys can have some type, give themselves some type of inspiration, some type of motivation, as they move on through this season.
Yeah, you really said it. I think I got a friend in Texas, and I'm gonna give a shout out to him, to my friend Ray in Texas. He's real tough on the Niners, and I think he kind of takes pride on it on social media, because he says a lot of the same things you just said. He talks about holding the players to a higher standard, that it's not, you don't just accept injuries and situations, you have to overcome it. And I'm just going to give him nothing but tough love. And he gets a lot of people mad, and I see where he's coming from a lot. I'm more of a positive guy, as you know, but I really see what you're saying on this, because the biggest thing to me as I look back on the season so far is the number one thing that they have lacked is they have not made one big play on defense to provide a spark to set the tone for the game. They've gotten close to the quarterback. They have had a couple of 3-and-outs, but there's not been one early turnover, not one, any kind of, a fumble on a kickoff, a fumble on a punt, the kind of play that can just set the tone the whole way. And like you said, if you're on a 53-man roster, you're one of the top players in the world. Someone's got to be able to step up and make a play like that. And it doesn't have to be an all-pro type player, because, quite frankly, you look around the league, Teams do it all the time, and it's not always the best player that does it. Someone's got to find a way to make a play, tip a pass, and then another guy picks it off and takes it in for a touchdown early in the game to set the tone, get the crowd into it. I heard a very staggering stat this week. During this season, the 49ers have had only 6 plays where they have been leading in the ball game and then they get the ball. 6 plays the whole season. They've been trailing the whole year. And I think it's due to the lack of big plays.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Big plays, again, the defense wants to stop big plays, but the offense has to make big plays, and we haven't had a whole lot, if any, of either one of them on either side of the ball.
Right.
But in order to win, you've got to have those. And you hit the nail on the head whenever you said that those 6 times, we get the ball and we've had the lead. That's a staggering statistic. And I hope our team understands that, because when those detailed things, we can sugarcoat and talk good things. Oh, great, I'm good. You did this and you did that. But I think those types of facts need to be said, because I'm sorry, you see big plays happen every game by every team.
Right.
It may only be one, but it happens. So somebody has got to be that guy that stands up and makes that play. Now, you can teach X's and O's, but I like to say you can teach some of the nuances of the game, but players have to understand the nuances of the game. That means you take the X's and O's, you take your understanding of the game, and you go out there, and in certain situations, you have to put your little thing, the thing that you do, on your stamp. You got to put your stamp on this game. And they got to do that. You can't teach it. You can't learn it. It's the nuance of the game. Can you make it happen? Can I, it's a mano a mano. We talk about winning the battle. You got to be able to see those inches. Pacino said it in Every Given Sunday. The inches are all around us. They're all around us, a place to be made. You determine whether you take advantage of those inches or not. And the 49ers haven't been taking advantage of those inches. Sometimes it takes a risk. Take a risk, but it's an educated risk. It's a risk. You weigh the pluses and minuses, and you make the play. So, hey, I made some big plays in my day, some good, some bad, but at the end of the day, then you don't play 7 years in the NFL. I like to throw out my 150 pounds, which isn't that big, but you know what? I made more big plays for us than big plays that hurt us.
Right.
So that's what these guys have got to start doing. You can't teach it to them, but somebody needs to tell it to them, though.
You're right. I think there's a time and a place for finding the positives. There's a time and a place for going, this is a rebuild. There's a time and a place for all that. And I think, like you said, these kinds of things that the coaches have to inspire them. This may be the last winnable game of the year. And it's right before a bye week, and it's in front of your home crowd. They got to go all out on this game to make sure that somehow they don't get an 0-16 season. Because what is that going to say for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan's first season? It can't end in a goose egg. They've got to come out inspired and win those individual battles. And it doesn't matter if it's the 4th string safety your corner. Someone's got to make a play and turn this around and find a way to get a win over what really is a bad football team. The Giants are bad. I think they're worse than the Niners.
Yes, and that's going to be interesting in this game, because, as I said earlier, that if there's a game to win, the 49ers got to win this one, because they're not going to go up against a team that's in as disarray as them, such as the Giants. So it's going to be interesting to see which team is going to come out victorious at the end, but they're going to have to go out there and, put their will on the other team. And this may be the last chance of the whole season to do it against a team that maybe equally or as bad as you.
Yeah, I mean, they don't play the Browns this year. They're not playing Tampa, who's falling apart. This is it. I mean, this is their best chance to come up with a win. And, the schedule is not going to really do them a lot of favors the rest of the year. They got some tough teams after the bye week. But regardless, though, even if they do lose this game, they still have to approach it the same way. There can't be excuses. Someone's got to go make a play and get this team on the right track and put them in a position to win, because you can't. 0-16 is completely unacceptable to everybody. I mean, that no matter how positive a fan you are, that cannot happen. That would be so embarrassing. The Browns haven't even done that. So something's got to give, and I really want to. I'm looking forward to. I'm believing that someone's going to be stepping up this week, and I can't wait to see who it is.
And a lot of it has to do with, and I'm surprised. I'm sure Kyle Shanahan has tried it, but one, the quick passing game can eliminate Beathard from getting killed or getting hit, or just part of the negative part of his game. You can kind of control it or protect him, but a lot of it has to do with receivers. Whether you're a backup receiver, whether I know we've had some receivers get hurt this year and our top guys are out. But when you go through the passing tree, you got slants, you got quick outs, which are 5 yards, you got 10-yard outs, you got 5-yard, 10-yard curls, you got post at 10 to 12. It's just hard for me to believe. Take the pressure off of your offensive line by getting the ball out of Beathard's hands quick.
Yes.
But what I don't understand is, how can you as a receiver, I don't care if he's playing you man to man, you cannot run a quick slant. You got to set him up. Worst case scenario, he's right on you. But what you do with a slant, instead of keeping that, quick slant high, you flatten it off, which means the DB got to come through your body to get to the ball. Now, you may only have 3 to 5 yard gains, but you throw that ball on first down, you're stuck in 5. That's a good start to position yourself for a manageable third down play. So if that can't happen, I know we're limited to the receivers that we have right now, but they definitely shouldn't be back. You got to find a way to get open. If they're playing 7 to 8 yards off, when the ball is snapped, they're already in their bike pedal. You telling me you can't push off, make him think you're going to run a 9, which is the goal pattern, and just 5 yards or 10 yards do a curl, and then Beathard throw the ball on time. As soon as you turn, you get the ball. Even if you get tackled, you got 10 yards or 5 yards. It's just hard for me to get and understand that. Now, if they don't have the players to do that, then when the offseason comes, they need to look for an entire new group, and they may be all free agents. I don't know. But to not be successful at least 30% of the time in getting first down, converting on third down, there's a problem. See, we've been real, especially the last 2 weeks, we've been real nice. We've been real nice. But there's coming a time now when we start looking, player to player, position to position, and freaking don't get beat. Start winning these battles.
That's exactly it. And what you were talking about with the short routes and the quick passes, that's West Coast offense. That is Bill Walsh 101. Get the ball out, rhythm and timing, make it so the defense can't react. If we can't do that, that's what everyone is doing to our team. Every opponent is doing that to the 49ers. They're doing these 5-yard passes. I mean, look at some of the guys that the Niners have played. Backup quarterbacks, Jacoby Brissett from the Colts. He did that all game. He took a couple of deep shots, but that's what he did the whole day to Rashard Robinson and Dante Johnson. Just frustrated them with 5-yard outs and 3-4 yard slants, dig routes. the whole 9 yards. It was just it was like, well, why can't the Niners do that? And then last week, Drew Stanton, backup quarterback, not a very good quarterback, but he was efficient last week. They've got to find a way to get. That's how you get the pressure off of Bethard. They got to find a way to do that for Bethard. He's getting killed.
Absolutely. And you take a look at some of these teams that you just spoke of, and just imagine. You can go a double slot, 2 receivers each side. You can go trips to one side. One guy in each of those formations got to be off the ball. Yeah. Now, usually that guy that's off the ball, the defensive guy cannot be up in his face because he's off the ball a whole yard. So he's probably at least off 3 to 5 yards. Look at the defense. Practice it during the week. That way there doesn't need to be any communication except nonverbal, which means you look at the guy, whoever's off the ball, you're the one running the 5-yard hit. Or a 5-yard out, however you want to do it. But the guy whose guy's defending him, pick who he is, and that's who we're going to. I mean, so it's not anything real difficult. I'm telling you, I mean, my high school, we're for the second straight year I've been at this high school, and we're team had never been to the playoffs. We're going to the playoffs for the second straight year. This year we got a home playoff game.
Nice.
And that's what we do. It's about a chess game. And all these teams we're beating, talent-wise may be better than us. But you've got to know how to dissect what they're doing and find out where that weak spot is. And that's what we're able to do. Now, it doesn't guarantee we're going to win every game or win every play. But at least those plays that they give us, we're going to take them. And that's what, I wish, and I truly believe in Cal. I believe in what he's doing, and I believe he's going to turn this team around. And I believe in his system. But sometimes we got to alter that system a little bit based on injuries that we have, based on talent that we have, based on quarterback experienced or non-experienced we have, the chances we take, chances we don't take, and pinpoint it to the game that we're playing right now. Because there's always a weak point on somebody's defense, not necessarily a weak point in talent, but the weak point in the structure of the defense. Where can we take advantage and get the ball out of our quarterback's hands quick because our offensive line right now is substandard. So that's what I'm hoping we see this week because, again, the Giants is the best option, looks like we have for the rest of the season or the remaining of the season to even win. So it will do a lot to go out and take advantage of those opportunities and come out with a victory against the Giants.
Right. I mean, the biggest thing as we look ahead of the Giants is, their biggest strength right now is probably their pass rush. Their offensive line is just as bad as the 49ers. And that's their starters. I mean, it'd be different if the Niners starters were in. I think they would fare a little bit better. But the Giants have a bad offensive line. Odell Beckham's not playing. Brandon Marshall's not playing. I mean, they have significant guys out. But the one thing they probably have is a pass rush. So you cannot, under any circumstances, Kyle Shanahan got to know that he can't run his typical play action and scan the field because that's going to give the defensive ends and the tackles opportunity to get after him. They've got to find a way to neutralize that pass rush, take that pressure off that offensive line, and get that ball out of there. And like you said, Carlos Hyde has to step up this game. He has been saying for 2 seasons that he knows that it is do or die for him if he wants to have an extended contract and if he wants to make and get where he wants to be. He has not been able to really step up. He's a good back. I think we see flashes of it. He gets a lot of yards after contact, which we like, but he doesn't really have those breakout games that he needs to have because you can't really rely on him the way you could rely on Frank Gore. I mean, when Frank Gore was there early in his career, they didn't have any offensive line 2005, 2006, 2007, and he was still pushing 1,100, 1,200 yards. And, I mean, it's easier said than done. I realize that. But at some point he's got to step up more than he is.
Absolutely, and the comparison, and it's not a negative comparison. It's just speaking fact that Gore did exactly in the similar situations that we expect Hyde to do right now.
Right.
Anybody with a great line can run, but now Hyde needs to display the ability, to one, get more than what's given on a certain play. And that is going to determine, like you said, his value moving forward. And because if he's going to stay stagnant in what he is, a good back, then you know what? Maybe that position is a position that we need to start looking elsewhere on. Matt Breida is a good player. I know he's great in the passing game. I'm not sure how great he is in the running game. I haven't looked enough, so it's not a negative opinion upon him. But I do know that position is valuable. Yeah, we got Garoppolo now, but you throw Garoppolo in there next year with the same issues now, and you know what? It's going to be pass heavy, and in the offense Kyle Shanahan wants to run, they are going to have somebody like Devontae Freeman and Coleman getting yards. And right now, we don't have it. Now, you know what? Let me rephrase that. I just want to believe and hope that we do have it, because I believe Breida and Hyde can be that. What I am becoming concerned about is, what are you able to give me when nothing's there?
Right.
That's the concern.
Yeah, that is just it. I mean, and you're going to have these kinds of years where you get injured. I mean, it's going on all around us. Teams are losing their franchise quarterbacks, and the franchise receivers are going on. I mean, this is going on around the league where it's just changing the fortunes of many teams. Other guys have to step up if you're going to stay afloat, and in some cases that is happening. Carlos Hyde has to be one of those guys. If he ever wants to be recognized as one of the top running backs in the NFL, you still have to be able to get a sizable gain even when there's nothing there. There has to be ways to do it. And, you can't, 12 carries for 35 yards is just not going to cut it anymore.
Yeah, I can't follow that up with anything except ditto. Yeah, that is it. I mean, because we can only speak so much on that, but that's just the flat out truth. And hopefully it serves more as a motivation if he hears our show, rather than I guess hearing the words that he's not good enough, because that's not it.
No,
I believe he's good enough. Coming into the season, heck, I was very, very optimistic on him, and I hadn't lost it yet, but I just know he's got to get more than what he's, getting out of plays that, one, aren't working. He just got to.
Right. I mean, there just comes a breaking point where it just doesn't matter anymore that, okay, we've all seen the bad calls. We've seen game-changing plays happen that, probably should never have happened. We've seen the injuries. We've seen all this stuff. It's like, okay, yep, we understand these things happen and you move on. But at some point, there just has to be this breaking point where there are no excuses. There has to be, someone has to step up and begin to make a change. Someone has to outplay even some of their own ability, play above and beyond what they would normally do, because that's how you get to this level. Like you said, you're one of the top players in the world. You've had great games before, or you would never be in that position. Someone's got to have at least something close to that in order to turn this around for this game.
Right. And what, I hope what collectively as a group is being said in a team meeting is this. There comes a time after every game you look back on film and you say, actually during a game, and you say, man, I hope that play doesn't come back to bite us in the butt.
Yeah.
That's a dropped interception. That's a drop pass on offense. That's oh man, that receiver was wide open, but all right off, his fingertips, or the ball's a little bit too high. The throw, the catch, the interception, the sack that's right there, and oh man, I just missed him. Those are the plays that have to be made. Don't let that play be the one that makes the organization say, "Oh man, if we'd have made that play."
Right.
Make the play. Make the play.
That's just it.
That's what's going to have to happen.
This year, I mean, the 49ers have been plagued by self-inflicted wounds. The very first drive of the season, if Marquise Goodwin comes down with that ball at the 5-yard line against Carolina on that deep ball, he had his man beat. That could have changed the whole season. Now, that sounds really, really cliche and kind of crazy. But he comes down with that and they score. Confidence is everything. Confidence and perception is everything. Plays like that can change games.
That's true. And all of a sudden, instead of that stretch, the 49ers went on where they lost, by 2 or 3 points. All of a sudden, that first game, if what happens the way you said, all of a sudden now they go into the second game with that confidence that close game, we expect to win. We're going to make that play.
Right.
We don't know who it is, but we're going to make that play. We're going to step up. So you're right. From a psychological perspective, it could make a huge difference in how those other games after the first one went. Instead of losing them close, could have been wins close. So the psychological approach of a season and games is huge in the outcome of how things happen.
I think there's just a couple of plays, not just at the end of games, but even during the middle of games where, a couple of things go a little differently where, instead of leading the league in drop passes, some of these passes get caught. I really believe they'd have 2 or 3 wins by now. There's just no reason for them to be 0-9. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, and I'm sure the coaches have watched film and, may even question some play calls, but in reality, it's hard to question the play calls when, one, there's been probably, oh my goodness, a high number of plays that can be dissected that were successful if executed right. So, again, changing the system isn't the thing to do. The personnel has to make the plays work. See, in the coaching world, you always say the plays don't make the player makes the plays.
Right.
So you can have any system you want, but it's the players that make the plays work. So they've got to make the plays work.
Yep, I think. It sounds really easy, but me as someone who watches the game, a student of the game, and you, someone who played the game and coached the game, that it isn't as easy as said. But there comes a time where players have to step up and make the play.
Yeah, let's hope it happens this week in the Giants. Let's be optimistic. We're going to leave, this particular weekly podcast optimistic. Be very direct to the point and expect the unexpected or expect the expected. What will it be?
Exactly. And that's a question that only the players can answer. And so you just hope that the right preparation has gone in, the right game plan is going to be made. And I really believe the difference in this game is going to be which team is going to be able to step up out of the absolute muck that they've been standing around in, because both teams have been dealing with it. Someone's going to step up for one of these two teams. Why not us?
Oh, I like that. That should be a motto. Why not us? Why not us? You're absolutely right. Why not me? Why not us?
And I just hope that that's the mindset going in, because it's the talent level on both these teams is pretty similar going in. Granted, Eli Manning's got a lot of experience, but he's on the downside of his career, and he throws a lot of interceptions. It does happen, and so it just need to be able to find a way to pressure him through that offensive line, and they've got the personnel to do it. I do think the Giants are going to have a hard time with DeForest Buckner and Elvis Dumervil, but it's going to come down to someone's going to have to force a fumble. There's going to have to be some kind of a turnover, or a wide receiver is going to have to make a big catch, and just there's lots of things, but something's got to give here, and whoever wins this game, it's going to be because of that.
Absolutely agree with you. So just got to execute not only the game plan, but some of the things that we talked about, and let's come back during the bye week and have a week. Nothing beats a bye week coming off of a win.
Right.
So hopefully we can come back next week during the bye week and have a whole week to just be optimistic and talk about a win.
Yep, that's the hope. Like you said, we're going to end this on a positive note, and I just, I really believe that they're going to have to go all out, and I think they will. And so hopefully we'll see that, and during the course of the bye week, they can, kind of just let that permeate in the locker room. Let them, as they prepare for the following game after the bye week, if they get some rest, they can just reflect on, they finally got this win under their belt. They got that nasty 0 out of the win column, and they can hopefully move forward. And I think everyone will breathe a big sigh of relief if they can win this weekend.
Yeah, my friend. So what do you think our Niners are going to do?
Well, I think there's a real possibility here. I don't think the Giants are world beaters at all. They've got backups at all kinds of positions, just like the Niners. So I think this just comes down to, you got guys that are going to be playing for their jobs, because this is there's no way to sugarcoat this. This is an evaluation period. If you want to be on the roster next season, you got to show something now. And I think guys got to realize that. Someone's going to step up in this game. I do think the Niners have more possibilities than the Giants to do that, both on offense and defense. So I think they can get to Eli Manning. I think they should be able to run the ball with Carlos Hyde. It's just going to come down to execution and not shooting yourself in the foot. So I'm going to go with the Niners finally playing a clean game, not getting penalized every play, not dropping passes, and like you said, taking what the defense gives you and making sure that, if there's going to be 5 yards there, that you take those yards.
I've actually reserved from making any predictions this year.
Right. We haven't done a lot of that.
Right. And I didn't bring that up, because felt like we were at that point to where, oh man, the Niners are gonna win, but I felt like this is the best chance that they've got to win. But then last week, with additional injuries, continuing to put people on, the record pace injury reserved in the NFL, that offensive line not being in a position and Hyde not being able to take over a game, and the offense have yet to, for Better to be able to do what's needed right now at this time for the 49ers, to be able to throw that quick game, or for the coaches to put him in position to throw that quick game, and then receivers not really giving them any confidence, that they'll catch that quick game, so, you made your prediction, you think the Niners are going to win, and I'm just not at that point yet.
You totally set me up.
Hey, it had nothing to do. It had nothing to do with where we're going or where I think we're gonna be. But all those wonderful notes you take prior to the show and talked about the additional injuries and what's going on that's impacting the losses. I just don't think they're going to change it in a week. Yeah. I'm hoping I can just see continuous improvement. I hope I can see 100 yards rushing. Give me 70 to 100 yards rushing. Give me 250 yards passing.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns, passing, then, I'll say, man, I should have went with them. But I don't see that right now.
Yeah.
I don't see that right now. So, but I am rooting for you, my man, because you went out on a limb. I'm with you, big dog.
Well, the other thing is obviously step one, they need to find a way to get 20 to 24 points in this game, because right now they're fortunate if they're getting 14 each week, and that just ain't enough to win. I think they got to get 20 to 24 points, and they've got to find. It's not even a matter of what do I think. They have to find a way to win this game. This is a must win for the sake of the season. They have to win this game.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'm with you, my man. I am with you, and we'll see what happens, on Sunday evening.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to go to thegruelingtruth.net, check out mybookie.ag, and also be on the lookout for 49er articles. And, we got all our stuff out on the website. Listen to our podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. You type in The Grueling Truth. Look for the 49er Weekly Show. We're out there. Anywhere podcasts are found, we are there. So hope you enjoy the game. Stay positive, but I think this is a must-win. So we'll see what happens, right, my friend?
Let's go Niners.
All right. So, we'll be back either during the bye week or right after the bye week to preview the next game. So thanks for tuning in. So for Dexter Carter, I'm Matt Andruscavage. You've been listening to the 49er Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network, where the legends speak.